It starts with a number and a little flame emoji. Every day, billions of them are exchanged around the world. On the surface, it's one of the most successful social media features ever created. A simple, harmless game that turns Snapchat into a daily ritual for hundreds of millions of people, generating billions of dollars in value for the company. But that's not the real story. This feature forced kids to give out their passwords, caused sleepless nights, and even created a black market to bring a dead streak back to life. This is the unsettling reality of the Snapchat streak. A feature designed in less than a day that now controls the lives of millions. To understand how the streak became so powerful, we have to remember the world it was born into, and the promise Snapchat first made to its users. When it launched in 2011, it was a revolution, not because of what it did, but because of what it undid. It was a direct attack on the new emerging permanence of the digital world. Facebook, the reigning king, had taught a generation that everything you post is forever. Every photo, every comment, every embarrassing status update from your teenage years was being meticulously catalogued, creating a permanent public record of your life. It was a digital museum of you, and the pressure was on to make sure every exhibit was perfect. Instagram, its beautiful younger sibling, doubled down on this perfectionism, creating a culture of impossibly curated highlight reels. Snapchat was the rebellion. Its core feature, disappearing messages, was an act of digital anarchism. It promised a return to the way human interaction actually works, in the moment and then gone forever. This was its magic. A conversation on Snapchat felt like passing a note in class or whispering a secret in a hallway. It was fleeting, private, and beautifully low pressure. You could send an ugly selfie, a goofy face, a picture of your breakfast, knowing it would vanish in seconds. There was no public wall to be judged on, no like count to measure your social value. It was a digital space that promised freedom from the social anxiety that other platforms were actively creating. For a few years, it was a social space without the social pressure, a safe retreat for authenticity in an increasingly polished digital world. It captured the chaotic, unscripted energy of real life. But in the ruthless, high-stakes war for user attention, that beautiful, simple idea wasn't enough to guarantee survival.
The number of hours watched on YouTube is going up 50% each year.
Trending and community functions have shown up on YouTube. Hashtags are on Instagram.
How did you get almost 400 likes on your profile pictures?
Exactly!
Kids are spending more and more of their time in digital spaces that they don't have even a basic understanding of what they are.
When I joined, there were 1 million users, and now there's over 2 billion people using Facebook every month.
The business of social media is not a connection, it is engagement. And to keep the numbers going up, the friendly ghost of Snapchat would need to be put in chains. By 2015, the social media landscape was a battlefield. Snapchat was locked in a brutal existential war with Instagram, which had famously and shamelessly copied its Stories feature.
Instagram announced Instagram Stories, a blatant copy of Snapchat Stories, which lets users post wacky annotated photos and video that disappears in about 24 hours.
Facebook, the empire that had tried and failed to buy Snapchat years earlier, had now resorted to a different strategy, cloning its best ideas to choke off its growth. The attack was working. Snapchat's user growth, once a vertical climb, was beginning to slow. The company's future, its planned IPO, its very survival, depended on finding a way to stop the bleeding. They needed an edge, a hook so deep and so powerful that it would make leaving Snapchat feel unthinkable. They needed to give their users a reason not just to use the app, but to be fiercely, unshakably loyal to it. Inside Snapchat's Los Angeles headquarters, the pressure was immense. The growth and engagement teams, the modern-day psychological warfare units of Silicon Valley, were tasked with finding a solution. They knew they couldn't out-feature Facebook, but they could outsmart them. They could build something into the very fabric of their app that would make leaving feel like a betrayal. They didn't need a new feature, they needed a new habit, a daily, unbreakable ritual. The teams studied the mechanics of addiction and game design. They looked at the daily login bonuses in mobile games that kept players coming back for their reward. They looked at the don't break the chain productivity hacks that used the fear of starting over to enforce discipline. They were searching for a hook, a trigger, an action, and a variable reward that would create a powerful compulsion loop. The trigger had to be simple, the passing of a day. The action had to be effortless, sending a single, low-effort photo. But the reward had to be social. It had to be tied to the one thing Instagram couldn't clone, your real friendships. After months of testing and refinement, they found it, a perfect, elegant, and deeply manipulative mechanic. On April 6, 2015, Snapchat pushed a major update called Friend Emojis. It was marketed as a fun, minor addition. The update promised to help you get to know your friends a little better, assigning emojis like a gold heart for your number one best friend, or a grimacing face for a friend whose best friend is also your best friend. But buried deep within this friendly, almost childish update was the real weapon, the streak. The rule was a masterpiece of deceptive simplicity. If you and a friend exchange a photo or video snap, not a simple chat message, it had to be a visual exchange within a 24-hour window for 3 days in a row, a tiny fire emoji appears next to their name. That's the hook. From then on, the game begins. For every consecutive 24-hour period that you both maintain the exchange, a number appears next to the flame, ticking higher and higher. A week becomes 7, a month becomes 30, a year becomes 365. The number becomes a living record of your shared commitment. But the manual included a brutal penalty clause. If either of you misses a single 24-hour window, if a single day passes without an exchange, the number evaporates, the fire goes out, everything you have built together resets to 0. To the engineers and executives at Snapchat, this was a work of art, a flawless piece of gamification, in which they had successfully taken the abstract corporate goal of increasing daily active users and translated it into a tangible, competitive, and highly addictive game for their users to play. They had created a powerful incentive that could make opening their app a daily ritual for millions. They had forged a chain to tether their users to the platform, a chain disguised as a game. They had no idea that for millions of young people, that chain would soon start to feel like a leash. They'd built a perfect trap, not understanding that it would exploit the most powerful and vulnerable biases hardwired into the developing human brain.
What do these streaks do? And the answer to that is absolutely nothing. It's just a cheap psychological manipulation tactic of adding this video game element to a social media platform.
The Snapchat streak is not addictive by accident. It's a masterclass in behavioral psychology, combining several powerful principles to create an almost irresistible compulsion loop. It's a three-pronged attack on the subconscious mind. The first and most powerful principle is loss aversion. In the 1970s, psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky proved a fundamental quirk of the human mind. The pain of losing something is psychologically twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining it. We will work far harder to avoid losing $100 than we will to gain $100. The streak number is not just a number, it's a possession. It represents a tangible investment of time, effort, and social capital. A streak of 500 days is a trophy, a monument to a friendship. The thought of losing it, of that number resetting to 0 because of a simple mistake or a forgotten moment, triggers a powerful, visceral sense of anxiety. The fear of loss, not the joy of the connection, becomes the primary motivator. The second principle is the sunk cost fallacy. This is the voice in your head that says, I've already invested so much, I can't quit now. It's why you might finish a terrible movie 2 hours in, or keep pouring money into a failing project. The past investment, whether it's time or money, clouds your judgment about the future. A streak of 800 days represents over 2 years of daily, unbroken commitment. Even if the friendship has faded, even if the daily exchange has become a joyless chore, the sheer weight of that past investment makes it feel impossible to stop. Letting it go would feel like admitting that the last 2 years of effort were a waste, and so the game transforms into a burdensome obligation you feel compelled to continue, purely because of the time you've already lost to it. Finally, the system brilliantly weaponizes social reciprocity. Humans have a deep, instinctual need to return favors and uphold social agreements. A streak is a mutual pact. It requires both people to participate every day. This creates a powerful, inescapable social pressure. If you let the streak die, you are not just losing a number on your own phone. You are publicly and visibly failing your side of a social contract. You are letting your friend down. The feature cleverly outsources its enforcement mechanism to the users themselves, turning their own friendships into the police force. These 3 forces, the fear of the loss, the weight of past investment, and the pressure of social obligation, combine to create a perfect storm of psychological anxiety, a storm that would soon sweep through the lives of millions. For millions of teenagers, the real-world consequences of this elegant design became apparent very quickly. The fun, game-like feature rapidly morphed into a source of genuine stress. Maintaining streaks stopped being a choice and started feeling like a job, a stressful, demanding, invisible chore that they had to perform every single day, without fail. The pressure begins the moment they wake up. Before their feet even hit the floor, they check their streaks, sending out a flurry of low-effort, almost meaningless snaps. A blurry picture of the ceiling, a completely black screen with the letter S scrawled on it. A close-up of a wall. This isn't communication, it's compliance. It's a digital roll call to prove you're still present, to keep the number alive for another 24 hours. The rest of the day is then punched by a low-grade persistent anxiety. Have I done all my streaks yet? This anxiety peaks during times when access to a phone is limited, on family vacations, during final exams, or on long flights. This isn't just anecdotal. A 2018 study on the impact of social media on young people's sleep by researchers at Swansea University found that this fear of missing out, and particularly the specific fear of losing a Snapchat streak, was a significant factor causing teens to sacrifice sleep. The study documented teens staying up hours later than they should, or even setting alarms to wake up in the middle of the night just to send a snap and keep a streak from expiring. This immense pressure has led to a bizarre but widespread behavior known as streak sitting. When a teen goes on vacation to a place with no Wi-Fi, to a summer camp that bans phones, or has their phone confiscated by their parents, they will often give their username and password to a trusted friend. That friend is then tasked with the stressful daily responsibility of logging into their account to maintain their most important streaks. They are literally entrusting someone with their entire digital identity, access to their private photos, their personal conversations, all to protect a meaningless number next to a cartoon flame. This single act reveals the immense social weight the streak now carries, a weight so heavy that it overrides all common sense about digital privacy and security. Perhaps the most insidious consequence of the streak is not the anxiety it causes, but the way it has corrupted the very definition of friendship for a generation. In the offline world, friendship is a complex, nuanced, and invisible bond. Online, the streak number has turned it into a public, quantifiable metric of a relationship's importance. It's a stock ticker for your social life. A high number is a badge of honor, proof of a close, committed friendship. A low number, or no streak at all, can be seen as a sign of social irrelevance. In countless anecdotes from teenagers, the breaking of a streak is not a trivial event. It's treated as a genuine social slight, sometimes even a deliberate act of betrayal. Arguments erupt over whose fault it was. Feelings are genuinely hurt. Real-world friendships have ended over a number on a screen disappearing. The feature has successfully turned a complex human relationship into a simple binary state. The streak is either alive or it's dead. This system creates a new, powerful landscape for social cruelty. Having streaks with the popular kids becomes a form of social currency, a visible marker of your place in the hierarchy. Being left on red and having a streak intentionally broken by someone is a new and potent way to bully and exclude someone. It's a cold, digital shunning. The high-pressure environment is a key reason why a 2017 report by the UK's Royal Society for Public Health ranked Snapchat as the worst social media platform for young people's mental well-being, citing its links to increased anxiety, depression, and bullying. The streak has also fundamentally degraded the quality of communication. The relentless need to send something every 24 hours means that most streak-related snaps are meaningless noise. They are the digital equivalent of mumbling "here" during attendance. It's a proof of life signal, not an act of genuine connection. The potential for meaningful conversation is drowned in a sea of relentless, low-effort obligation. The very tool designed to encourage daily interaction has, in many cases, replaced real friendship with the performance of it. So, what has Snapchat, the company that forged this digital leash and watched it wrap itself around the lives of its youngest users, done about it? Have they acknowledged the anxiety and pressure their feature has created? In a way, they have, but their solution has made the problem infinitely darker. In 2022, after years of watching users panic about their expiring streaks, Snapchat introduced a new feature, Streak Restore.
This little icon that has restore right there, that means you've lost that snap streak, but all you have to do is tap on it and they'll give you one free option to be able to restore it, and then every time after that it'll cost 99 cents.
For a fee of 99 cents, you can now pay real money to restore a streak that has expired. This was a stunning and deeply cynical move. The company had successfully identified the immense anxiety their feature was causing, and instead of fixing the problem, they had turned that anxiety into a new revenue stream. They weren't selling a feature, they were selling relief from the very stress their own product had deliberately created. This move perfectly encapsulates the cynical logic of the modern attention economy. Step 1. Create a problem. In this case, the irrational but powerful fear of losing a streak. Step 2. Sell the solution. This act validates the streak's importance, cementing its place in the social hierarchy while simultaneously profiting from the misery it causes. It makes the cycle even harder to break, adding a financial component to the already immense social and psychological pressure. There are stories of users pushing back, of digital rebellions, teenagers who coordinate with their friends to ceremonially end their long-running streaks, often documenting the experience on other platforms like TikTok. They almost universally describe the feeling that follows not as loss, but as a massive liberating relief, as if a great weight has been lifted, but they are the exception. For most, the pressure is too great. The game is too deeply embedded in the social fabric. Breaking the streak means risking a friendship, and for a teenager, that is the highest stake imaginable. The story of the Snapchat streak is ultimately a story of betrayal. It took a platform that was built on the promise of carefree, ephemeral connection and secretly planted a seed of permanent anxiety within it. It reveals a chillingly effective business model for the modern age. The most efficient way to guarantee a user's loyalty is to hold their real-world friendships hostage. The daily check-in was never truly about connection, it was about compliance. And the number ticking up on the screen was never a measure of friendship, but a quiet, constant measure of the platform's control. The streak took one of the most beautiful and complex parts of human existence, friendship, and gamified it. It turned connection into a chore, loyalty into a number, and communication into a low-effort, daily obligation. It promised a fun way to stay in touch, but delivered a digital leash, a constant low-grade source of anxiety that has followed a generation from the classroom to their bedrooms. It is a perfect microcosm of the attention economy's core bargain. In exchange for a free service, we don't pay with money. We pay with something far more valuable: our time, our attention, and in this case, the emotional energy of our most important relationships. The flame on the screen looks warm and inviting, but like any fire, if you get too close for too long, you get burned. The ghost of connection, once free and fleeting, is now permanently chained to the number, a silent reminder of the price of a single click.